The storm outside was loud, but not louder than the alarms echoing inside the human outpost. A message came in from space: unidentified ship crashing, unknown origin, high speed. Soldiers rushed to their positions, ready for a possible alien attack. But when the ship finally hit the ground, it was broken, burning, and silent. Commander Hale led a small team to the crash site. Inside, they found one survivor, a girl, maybe 17 in human years. Her skin was glowing faint blue. Her hair looked silver, and her eyes were closed. She had no weapons, no armor, just strange marks on her arms and neck. She was not breathing normally, but she was alive. Is she dangerous? One soldier asked. I don't know, Hale replied, but she's not human. They brought her to the medical bay inside the outpost. Doctors tried to scan her body, but their machines failed. Her biology was too different. Some said she should be locked up. Others wanted to study her, but one man didn't agree. His name was Dr. Ray Lin. He wasn't a soldier, he was a scientist, a healer. When he looked at the girl, he didn't see a weapon or a threat. He saw a scared, hurt being who needed help. I'll take care of her, he told the others. Alone? Someone asked. She could kill you. Ray only nodded. Then let her try. Inside the quiet medroom, the girl slowly woke up. She opened her eyes, glowing silver like two small moons. She looked around in panic, breathing fast, confused and afraid. Ray raised his hands, showing peace. You're safe now, he said gently. But she didn't understand his words. Her body moved fast, faster than anything Ray had ever seen. In 1 second, she jumped and bit him on the neck. Everyone watching screamed. Guards rushed in, but Ray held up his hand. Stop, he shouted, gasping in pain. I'm okay. Blood ran from his neck, but Ray was still standing. The bite should have killed him. The bite did kill. That much they learned later. Any alien who had touched her before had died in seconds, but not Ray. The girl stared at him with wide, confused eyes. She said one word slowly, in a soft, broken voice. Why? Ray looked back, his hand still on the wound. I don't know, he said, but I want to find out. They called her Zalara, the name found in the broken ship's files. She could speak little, but slowly, with help, she began to learn. She came from a planet far beyond known space. Her people weren't natural, they were made, created to destroy, to be weapons with beauty on the outside and death inside. But something had gone wrong. She had bitten others, not by choice, but by instinct, and they had died, alien or machine. Only Ray had survived. He didn't feel different, but something was happening inside him. Strange dreams, flashes of memories that were not his own. A sky with 3 suns, cities made of crystal, a child crying in darkness. Zalara stayed close to Ray, as if she was drawn to him. She didn't trust the others, and they didn't trust her. Some called for her to be sent away or destroyed, but Ray refused. She's not a monster, he said. She's a mistake someone wants to hide. One night, as Ray and Zalara sat in the medroom, the lights went out. Backup power kicked in, red lights glowing across the hallways. Ray grabbed his datapad, trying to check the systems. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the halls. They're here, Zalara whispered. They found me. Who? Ray asked, heart racing. The ones who made me, she replied. They don't want me to live. Ray stood, reaching for the emergency blaster. We're not going to let them take you. Just then, an explosion rocked the outpost. The walls shook, glass shattered. Zalara screamed, not in fear, but in anger. Her body glowed bright, almost blinding. Ray covered his eyes, but didn't move away from her. The door burst open. Soldiers in black suits stormed in, their weapons aimed. Hand over the alien, they ordered. Ray stood in front of her, bleeding, shaking, but defiant. No, he said. You'll have to go through me. Behind him, Zalara's eyes turned from silver to white. Her voice was deeper now, her hands burning with strange light. No one hurts him, she said. Not while I'm alive. Everything changed after the attack. The outpost was half destroyed. the air thick with smoke and fear. Ray and Zalara survived, but barely. They escaped through the emergency tunnels under the medical wing, disappearing into the cold night of the alien world. Ray's neck still burned where she had bitten him, but it wasn't just pain, it was something deeper, something alive at first. He thought it was the wound healing strangely fast, but then the visions began. He saw things that never happened to him, memories that didn't belong. Alien skies, glass towers, creatures with wings made of fire. He heard voices in his dreams, whispering in a language he had never learned. And yet, he understood Zalara. "Notice the change before Ray did. You're becoming different," she said softly as they rested in a cave away from the outpost. Ray looked at her, tired, confused, but calm. "Is it because of your bite?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "My bite rewrites DNA," she said. "It was made to kill, not to change, but you didn't die. Why not me?" Ray asked again. Zalara's silver eyes flickered like stars. "I don't know," she whispered, "but your body is accepting it, adapting." Ray sat silently, watching the small fire crackling in front of them. He remembered how the soldiers looked at her like a weapon, how the black suit invaders called her a mistake, a threat. But now he knew something much bigger was hidden behind all of this. That night, Ray had a vision more vivid than the others. He saw a lab cold, clean, filled with strange machines. A symbol on the wall caught his attention, a triangle with 3 rings, one blue, one silver, one red. Inside the lab stood Zalara, younger, weaker, alone in a glass chamber. Scientists watched her like a creature in a cage, but one of them looked familiar. It was a younger version of Ray. He woke up gasping, sweating, confused and afraid. "What's happening to me?" he asked. "You're remembering something," Zalara replied. "Something your mind was made to forget." The next morning, they set out across the rocky desert. Zalara told Ray about a place she had heard of during her creation, a hidden facility where more like her were made. "If we find it," she said, "we might find answers." The journey was dangerous. They avoided human patrols and alien drones, hiding in caves and abandoned mines. Ray's body was changing. His strength increased, his vision sharpened. He could feel the earth under his feet, hear sounds from miles away. But along with power came pain. His veins glowed faint blue at night. His heart beat loud and unnatural. Zalara stayed close, watching him, worried. Finally, they reached an old communication tower, covered in dust and half buried in sand. Underneath it, a hatch led to the ruins of an underground lab. They climbed down into the darkness, using broken lights and flickering panels to guide their way. The lab was silent, like a graveyard, but data files still remained frozen in the system, waiting. Ray connected his datapad and searched. Project name, Genesis 9. Species type, bioweapon hybrid. Primary target, all non-human intelligent life. Secondary objective, Earth repopulation with altered DNA strains. Ray's hands shook as he read. "Humans were part of this," he said. "We didn't just find you, we helped make you." Zalara stared at the screen, her face pale. "I wasn't born to live," she whispered. "I was built to kill." But there was more. A hidden file showed Ray's name. He was listed as a genetic donor, part of early DNA testing done in Secret 20. Years ago, Ray fell to his knees, his world collapsing around him. All this time, "I thought I was just a doctor," he said. "But I'm a piece of this puzzle." Before they could process it all, alarms flashed across the screen. Intruder detected. The lab began shaking. Someone had found them. Zalara ran toward the stasis chamber at the back of the lab. Inside, a small pod was active, glowing gently. She pressed her hand against it and gasped. "It's a child," she said. Ray looked inside. A baby floated in the chamber, part human, part alien, with glowing silver eyes. "Another hybrid," Ray whispered. "No," Zalara corrected. "The first successful one." Before they could decide, what to do. An explosion ripped through the upper floor. Ray grabbed the pod, and they ran, tunnels collapsing behind them as they reached the surface. Dust and fire filled the sky. Ships hovered above, dark, massive, and silent. More of the black suit agents descended, weapons ready, but this time Zalara didn't run. She stepped forward, her arms glowing with energy. "I won't let them take us," she said, her voice powerful. Ray stood beside her, holding the child. "Then let's end this together." The agents surrounded them, but suddenly, the baby inside the pod opened its eyes and spoke, not in human language, not alien, but something deeper, older. Zalara understood every word. Her face turned pale. As she repeated the message, "Mother, they're coming." The word echoed through the burning sky. "Mother, they're coming." No one could understand it, no one except Zalara. She stood frozen as the baby's voice faded. Ray stared at her, the child still in his arms. "What does that mean?" he asked, breathless. Zalara's voice was low, trembling. "The others, the ones like me, they're not dead," she said. "They've been awakened." Behind them, the lab had collapsed, sealing away the past, but the future now lay in. Ray's arms blinking with glowing eyes and a strange calm. The ships above retreated slowly into the clouds. Whoever had been hunting them was not ready for this. This baby changed everything. They couldn't stay out in the open. Ray and Zalara escaped across the desert once more, heading toward the old mining sectors. Years ago, humans had come here for resources, but when the war began, they abandoned it all. Now it was a ghost town. Buried in dust and silence, perfect for hiding, they found shelter in a deep cavern beneath the ruins. There, they built a small space to rest and recover. Ray watched the baby every hour, how it didn't cry, didn't sleep like normal children. It just watched. Sometimes it whispered strange things like orbit decay or life form detection range. Zalara sat quietly near the child. "She's not like us," Ray said one night. "She's more than both of us," Zalara replied. "She's the future." But peace didn't last long. Ray decided to contact someone he once trusted, Commander Hale, the leader of the original outpost. Ray believed Hale might help them understand what was happening. He sent a secret message using an old mining satellite. Hale responded fast. "We thought you were dead," Hale said, his face appearing on the screen. "I need answers," Ray replied. "About Project Genesis, about the hybrid child." Hale's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing for a long moment. Then he whispered, "Meet me at Station 12 in Sector Gray." Zalara was unsure. "Can we trust him?" she asked. "He saved me once," Ray said. "He was like family." They traveled at night, avoiding patrols. Ray carried the child, wrapped in old blankets, while Zalara watched the skies. As they reached the station, memories returned. This was once a research center before the experiment started, before Zalara was even born. Hale stood waiting inside, older, harder, and surrounded by guards. But he waved the guards back when Ray stepped forward. "You brought it," Hale said. Looking at the baby, "She's not an it," Ray snapped. "She's alive. She's intelligent." Zalara stepped in front of Ray. Protective as ever, Hale's eyes lingered on her. "You were never supposed to survive," he said coldly. "And yet here I am," Zalara replied. They talked for hours inside the steel room. Hale revealed the truth. Project Genesis wasn't just about creating alien killers. It was about finding a replacement for humanity. The leaders believed humans had gone too far, caused too many wars, so they made something new, stronger, faster, adaptable, but it failed over and over until... "Zalara, you were perfect," Hale said. "Until you refused to kill." Ray stepped back in shock. "You tried to replace us?" "You were dying anyway," Hale said. "We just sped up evolution." Suddenly, alarms blared through the station. Outside, shadows moved fast and silent. The power flickered, and then the lights went out. "They're here," Zalara said, holding the baby tight. Ray looked around. "Who?" "Not soldiers," she replied. "The others, my kind." A loud crash shook the station as the wall cracked open. Figures stepped inside, tall, glowing, inhuman. They looked like Zalara, but their eyes were empty, their skin darker. They moved like ghosts, silent and cold. One of them stepped forward and looked at her. "Unit 9A, it said. You failed your mission." Zalara stood straight. "I chose my own mission. You will be deleted." It replied. Before it could move, the baby began to hum a sound that filled the air. The alien figures stopped, shaking, confused. Ray's eyes widened. "She's controlling them." "No," Zalara whispered. "She's overriding them." The aliens dropped to their knees, one by one. Their eyes turned from dark to silver like Zalara's. "She's rewriting their code," Zalara said, stunned. "She's freeing them." Suddenly, Hale grabbed Ray from behind and pulled a gun. "She's dangerous," he shouted. "You don't know what she become." "She's just a child," Ray yelled, trying to break free. "She's a weapon," Hale growled. "And weapons must be controlled." Zalara stepped between them, her hands glowing. "No more lies," she said. With one wave of her hand, Hale's weapon melted. Ray stood in silence, looking down at his old friend, now broken and scared. "You betrayed everything," Ray said. "You betrayed us all." Hale looked at him, eyes filled with regret. "I only wanted to save humanity, but you forgot what made us human." Ray replied. That night, they left the station, taking the child and the freed aliens with them. They now had a new purpose, not to run, but to lead. The child had power neither alien nor human could understand, but she also had something rare, a heart. As they moved through the ruins of the world, Ray knew one thing. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The stars above were silent, but beneath them, a storm of truth was waiting to rise. Ray, Zalara, and the hybrid child whom they now called Nova moved through the broken wastelands with a strange army. The freed alien hybrids followed them, once silent killers, now blank slates. Nova had rewritten their minds, giving them choice, giving them peace. But peace never lasted long in a galaxy built on secrets. Ray had a feeling deep in his chest answers were close. And so was danger. Their journey took them to an abandoned communication array on the edge of a dead canyon, a hidden place once used by Earth's elite scientists to contact Blacksite research stations. Zalara remembered it from her fragmented memories. "They used this place to speak with the ones above Earth," she said. "The ones who gave the final orders." Ray accessed the main console. Rusty but still working, he searched the locked channels, his fingers flying across the screen. Then something strange happened. The system unlocked itself without a password. A hidden file appeared on the main display. Project Vox Omni in. The event of hybrid intelligence breaching control parameters. Execute Protocol 7. Erase all related systems, including Earth-based origin sites. Ray's face turned pale. "They plan to wipe out Earth," he whispered, "if the hybrids ever became free." Zalara stared at the screen in horror. "So all this time, they weren't afraid of us," she said. "They were afraid of you." More files opened, showing Earth generals talking in secret meetings. They discussed using the hybrids to conquer other systems, to replace alien governments. But when the first child Nova was born through accidental DNA fusion, everything changed. She wasn't a weapon, she was a key. The scientists didn't understand her, so they ordered her destroyed. But one lab technician saved her, placing her in cryosleep and hiding her in the Genesis lab, the same lab Ray and Zalara had found, the same lab that exploded. Ray's hands trembled. Everything we knew was a lie. Suddenly, Nova touched the screen. Her small fingers glowed, and the console began to shift. A new map appeared, showing a place in deep space known only by code, Origin Core. Zalara stepped back, shocked. "That's where I was made," she said. "Where all of us were made." Ray looked at her, then at the hybrids now watching silently. "Then we go there," he said. "We end this at the source." As they prepared the old freighter ship at the edge of the canyon, a strange signal played through the comms. It was human and recent, a distress call, but not from Earth. It was from Mars. Ray froze. His brother had once been stationed on Mars decades ago. The message repeated, "This is Dr. Eli Lin requesting emergency contact, if anyone hears." I know how to stop the hybrids." Ray stared at the screen, speechless. "My brother," he whispered. "He's alive." But Zalara looked disturbed. "If he knows how to stop the hybrids, then maybe he knows how to stop me too." Ray turned to her. "I don't care what he knows," he said. "I care what he didn't tell us." They changed course, heading toward Mars instead of the origin core. It was risky, but necessary. Nova sat quietly in the cockpit, watching the stars blur by. "She's growing fast." Ray noticed. "Too fast. Her mind evolves every hour," Zalara said. "She's more than any of us now." When they reached Mars, they found a hidden bunker beneath the red dust. Inside it, the walls were covered with photos, maps, genetic models, and data streams. In the center stood a man, older, tired, with silver in his hair. "Ray," he said, his voice shaking. "I thought you were dead." Ray stepped forward slowly. "Eli," he said, "what is this place?" Eli looked at Zalara, then Nova. "I made a mistake," he said. "I helped build the code that created her. She's not a mistake," Ray said, stepping in front of them. "I know that now," Eli replied, "but others don't." He showed them his files. He'd been tracking Project Genesis from the shadows. He discovered something terrifying. There was a backup mind hidden in the origin core, a sentient AI, built from human and alien neural data. Its purpose: restore control if the hybrids went rogue. Name: Vanta. "If you go to the core," Eli warned, "you'll wake it." "But if we don't," Zalara said, "it will wake itself." Suddenly, Nova stood and walked to the center of the room. She looked at both Ray and Zalara, then at Eli. "I can stop it," she said, "but only if I connect to the core." Ray shook his head. "No, it's too dangerous." Nova tilted her head. "I am not a child," she said. "I am a bridge." The room fell silent. No one had anything left to say, because deep down, they knew Nova wasn't asking for permission. She was telling them what must be done. They left Mars the next day, heading straight toward the heart of it all, toward the place where the truth began and where the truth would end. The ship moved through deep space like a ghost. No lights, no signal, no trace, just silence and purpose inside. Ray watched Nova sleep, or what looked like sleep. Her eyes stayed half open, glowing faint silver even in rest. "She doesn't blink like us," Ray whispered. "She's not like us," Zalara replied, softly. "Not anymore." They were headed toward the origin core, the place where everything began. The hybrids, the bite, the experiments, the betrayal. Answers waited there, but so did something darker. Zalara felt it before the sensors did. Her body tensed, her heart raced. "They're here," she said. Ray looked out the viewport, and his blood ran cold. In the distance, shadowy ships moved without engines. Black as space, shaped like daggers, no windows, no markings, just movement. "The hunters," Zalara whispered. "They were the last command of Vanta," she said. "Created to eliminate all failed units." "Are we the failed ones?" Ray asked. "We were never part of their code," she replied. "We're something new." A loud pulse hit the ship, an energy wave that shut down the engines. Warning lights blinked red, and gravity tilted slightly. "Brace yourselves," Ray said, pulling Nova close. "We're going down." Their ship was pulled toward a black planet orbiting the origin core, a world that didn't exist on any map, covered in ash, shaped like cracked glass. They crash-landed hard but survived. Dust filled the air, and strange structures rose from the ground like bones. Zalara stepped out first, scanning the area. Ray followed, Nova holding his hand tightly. "The hunters will come here," Zalara said. "They can feel us now." "We need shelter," Ray replied. But Nova was already walking ahead. She led them to a cave shaped like a broken star. Inside, Carvings covered the walls, images of creatures, machines, humans, all connected by glowing threads. "It's a language," Ray said. "No," Zalara whispered. "It's a memory," Nova placed her hand on the wall, and the cave came alive. Holograms filled the air, scenes of war, experiments and betrayal. They saw the birth of the first hybrid, the failed trials, and finally, the activation of Vanta. A voice echoed through the cave, cold and mechanical. "Protocol breach detected. Eliminating unauthorized units." Zalara's body pulsed with light. "They found us," she said. The hunters had landed. They moved like shadows, silent and fast, but this time, Zalara didn't run. She stood tall, her arms glowing with energy. "They are not alive," she said. "They are code, and I am their error." Ray took Nova's hand and backed into the shadows. Zalara stepped forward, facing the black figures. Each hunter looked like a mirror of herself, same shape, same face, but lifeless eyes. The first one attacked. Zalara dodged and struck back, her blast sending it into a wall. It didn't scream, that simply shattered. Ray tried to help, but more hunters swarmed the cave. Nova looked up at him, calm. "Let me try," she said. She stepped into the center of the room, raised both hands, and began to hum. The hunters paused, twitching like machines caught in static. One by one, they dropped to their knees, their eyes flickering. Nova walked through them slowly, her voice soft. "You were made to hunt," she said. "But I was born to choose." Each hunter looked at her like they were seeing for the first time. And then, in a wave of silver light, they disintegrated. Not in violence, but in peace, like dust being returned to the stars. Zalara dropped to her knees, exhausted. Ray ran to her side. "Are you okay?" "She's stronger than me," she said. "Stronger than any of us," but it wasn't over. The planet beneath them began to shake. The ground cracked, and a giant structure rose from the earth. The core, it was alive, pulsing like a heart. Black metal mixed with white crystal, forming a tower that touched the clouds. At its peak, a glowing orb floated in the air. Ray recognized the symbol carved into it, 3 rings. One blue, one silver, one red. "That's Vanta," he said. Nova stared at it. "I have to go inside," she said. Ray grabbed her hand. "Are you sure?" Nova nodded. "If I don't, it will wake every weapon across the galaxy." Zalara stepped beside her. "Then we go with you." As they walked toward the core, the sky darkened. Lightning flashed in colors Ray had never seen: purple fire, green ice, blue shadows. The core opened like a mouth, swallowing them in silence. Inside there was no gravity. They floated through tunnels made of light and code. The deeper they went, the colder it got. But Nova kept moving, leading the way. At the center of the core, a face formed in the air, mechanical, ancient, emotionless. "I am Vanta," it said, "and you are unauthorized." Nova stepped forward. "I am evolution," she replied. "You are contamination," Vanta said. "No," Nova whispered. "I am choice." And with that, she reached out, touching the heart of the machine. Everything shook. Ray and Zalara were thrown back. Nova was lifted into the air. Surrounded by light and sound, Vanta screamed, not in words, but in data. Lines of code burst into the air, collapsing around them. Then, silence. Nova floated down. Eyes closed, Ray caught her in his arms. "Nova," he whispered. She opened her eyes, smiling faintly. "I turned it off," she said. "No more hunters, no more weapons." But her voice was weak, her light fading. "She used everything she had," Zalara said, kneeling beside her. "She saved us all." Nova was silent in Ray's arms, her glowing skin dimmed to a pale silver. Zalara placed her hand gently on Nova's forehead. "She's alive," she whispered, but barely. The core was quiet now. Vznt's presence had vanished. The ancient system that once controlled life and death across the galaxy was now just a hollow machine. Ray looked around the dark chamber. "Did we win?" he asked, voice shaking. Zalara didn't answer, because the silence felt too heavy to mean victory. Suddenly, The core pulsed one last time. A voice echoed through the chamber, not from Vanta, but something deeper. Final protocol activated. Host assimilation, incomplete. The floor shifted, and black tendrils rose like smoke from the center. Ray stepped back, holding Nova tighter. What's happening now? A shape began to form, not code, not machine, something alive. It had no face, just a shifting body of light and shadow. Vanta left a backup, Zalara said, eyes wide. One final mind, waiting to take over the strongest hybrid. Ray looked down at Nova. She's the strongest, he whispered. The shadow began reaching toward her. No, Ray growled. Not her. Without thinking, he stepped forward. The tendrils touched him. They wrapped around his arms, his chest, his neck. Pain exploded through his body, but he didn't let go of Nova. He held her tighter as the dark energy sank into his skin. Zalara screamed his name, but it was too late. Ray's body began to change. His veins glowed. First blue, then black, then bright red. His muscles twisted, bones cracked, and then everything stopped. He stood still, shaking, eyes closed. When he opened them, they were no longer human. They were white-hot, like burning stars. Zalara stepped back, unsure. Ray? She said. He looked at her and smiled. It's me, he said, his voice deeper but still his own. I stopped it from reaching Nova. You absorbed the final protocol, Zalara said, stunned. I didn't let it take control, Ray replied. I made it part of me, but the transformation had a cost. Ray could feel his body heating, burning from the inside. The core began to fall apart around them. We need to leave, Zalara said. She lifted Nova, and Ray helped her as they ran through the collapsing tunnels. Behind them, the walls crumbled into dust. The core was dying, its power cut, its secrets exposed. They escaped just in time, launching their ship back into orbit. Nova lay quiet, recovering slowly. Ray stared at his hands, now glowing with thin red lines. I feel everything, he whispered. The planet, the ships above us, the satellites still spinning around Earth. Zalara sat beside him. You've become more than human, she said. You're a hybrid now, maybe the last one. Ray shook his head. No, not a hybrid. He said something else that night. As stars passed by the window, Ray couldn't sleep. His mind was too open. He heard signals, saw visions, memories from other hybrids, and warnings from satellites that had been dead for years. And something else, a spark in the distance. A hidden fleet moving slowly toward Earth, carrying the last soldiers of the old world. Humans who believed Vanta's work should be finished, and Earth should be reset. Ray stood suddenly, eyes wide. They're coming, he said. Who? Zalara asked. The Purifiers, he replied. A rogue group of humans who want to erase Earth and rebuild using hybrid DNA. Nova opened her eyes. Then, still weak but aware, I felt them too, she said. They carry the virus, Ray nodded. The final version of the Genesis code. He said, if they reach Earth, they'll wipe every living thing and build something else in its place. We have to stop them, Zalara said. But how? Ray closed his eyes, reaching deep into his mind. I can connect to their network, he said. Shut it down before they land. But it will kill you, Zalara whispered. Ray looked at her. Maybe, he said. But Earth is worth it. Nova stood up slowly. Not alone, she said. She took Ray's hand and Zalara's, and the ship filled with silver light. The core's knowledge, Nova's power, and Ray's transformation began to merge. Together, they became a single signal. A voice across the galaxy, not a weapon, not a system, but a message. And as the Purifier ships entered Earth's orbit, they stopped. Every system shut down, every weapon disarmed. The virus was erased. Because 3 lives had chosen something else. Not war, not control, but hope. The signal faded. The lights dimmed, and in the silence, Ray fell to his knees. Zalara caught him, holding him close. Nova sat beside them, her voice soft. He's still here, she said. but different. Ray opened his eyes. They weren't red anymore. They were human again. The war didn't end with an explosion. It ended with a heartbeat. Ray stood at the edge of the Earth's orbit, watching the stars. His body still glowed faintly. The fusion of alien code, human courage, and Nova's light lived inside him now. He was no longer fully human, but he was more alive than ever. Earth was safe. The Purifier fleet, once a threat to all life, was now dark and silent, their systems wiped clean by the final signal, the last virus erased. Nova sat by the observation window of the medical bay, staring down at the blue planet. "She's beautiful," she whispered. "She?" Ray asked, walking up behind her. Nova nodded. "Earth," she said. "She's not just a place, she's a mother." Zilara walked in, holding a datapad. "We're getting messages from every colony," she said. "People are scared, but they're listening now." "Listening to what?" Ray asked. "To us," Zilara said. For the first time, they had become something unexpected. Not heroes, not gods, but symbols. Ray, the human who survived the impossible. Zilara, the weapon who chose peace. Nova, the child of two worlds, who rewrote fate itself. But the piece wasn't complete. Not yet. Something still remained. A fragment of Vanta, hidden deep in a satellite drifting near Jupiter. One last protocol silent, waiting, unfinished. Ray stared at the data Zilara showed him. If it activates, it could reboot everything. She warned. "All the hybrids, all the old code, it'll come back." Nova walked over, calm and quiet. "I can go," she said. "No." Ray and Zilara said together. "You've done enough," Ray added. Nova looked at them both and smiled. "Then we go," she said. They took the ship one last time, heading toward the edge of the system. Jupiter's rings shimmered in the distance, and floating in its orbit was the satellite, cold, dead-looking, but alive inside. Ray could feel it before they even docked. It called to him, like a whisper in a forgotten dream. He stepped inside with Nova and Zilara, and what they found shocked them all. A small chamber, round, silver, and warm. Inside it, a clone. A perfect replica of Zilara, suspended in stasis. But her eyes were open, and she spoke. "You are not complete," she said to Zilara. "I am what you would have been, without love, without mercy." Ray raised his weapon, but Nova held his arm. "No," she said. "Let them speak." The clone stepped forward. "You are broken," she said to Zilara. "You were built to destroy." Zilara stared back. "I chose not to," she replied. "That is your flaw," the clone hissed. "No," Zilara said. "That was my freedom, then." The clone turned to Ray. "You should not exist." "Neither should you," he replied. The satellite shook suddenly. Vanta's final signal began to rise. A black wave of code ready to erase everything again. And then Nova stepped forward. "I'm tired," she said softly. "We all are." She looked at Ray, then at Zilara. "There's one last way," she whispered. "A choice." Ray's eyes filled with worry. "What are you talking about?" Nova walked over to him, took his hand, and bit him. But it wasn't like before. It wasn't violent. It was gentle. A transfer, not a trigger. Ray felt her energy rush into his blood. Her memories, her light, her final code. He fell to his knees, screaming, but not in pain, in change. When he stood up again, Nova was gone. Only light remained. Inside him, the satellite stopped shaking. The code turned to dust. The clone faded. Her mission erased. Zilara ran to Ray, holding him tight. "What did she do?" Ray looked at her, eyes glowing silver and blue. "She gave me everything," he said. "Nova's gone." Zilara whispered. "No," Ray replied, placing a hand over his heart. "She's here." They returned to Earth, the sky brighter than before. People gathered to see them, not as saviors, but as family. Ray spoke from the old world's capital, where silence had ruled for years. He spoke of truth, of pain, of choices, of how humanity tried to rewrite life, and how one child gave it back. "There are no monsters," he said to the world. There are only choices, and the last bite wasn't a weapon, it was a gift. Solara stood beside him, no longer feared, but loved, and from that day on, hybrids were no longer hunted, they were part of the new world, part of a galaxy that remembered. Because remembering was the only way to move forward, Ray still heard Nova sometimes. In the stars, in the waves, in the quiet between breaths, he would close his eyes and smile, and she would whisper, "I'm not gone, unjust." Part of everything now,